Avery Lang stands too close. The late afternoon sun catches in her golden hair as she leans in at the downtown Millbrook bus stop. Her voice is soft enough that only Maya Carter can hear. You know what happens to snitches. They disappear. Around them, the 4:30 p.m. crowd moves like a river flowing past a rock in the current. No one stops, no one speaks. Earbuds in, heads down, pretending not to see. Maya does not move. Her gray hoodie is zipped to her chin. Her backpack straps lie perfectly even across her shoulders. Her brown eyes stay calm, despite the pressure thrumming in the air. One hand holds her phone. Avery reaches for it with slow, manicured fingers tipped in pale pink. Behind her, two shadows fall into place. Tessa Reed stands slightly behind, phone already recording. Jordan Hale steps to the side, blocking the exit from the bus shelter with her athletic frame. I asked you a question, Avery says, her smile tight. Maya answers with a voice quiet and precise. And I told you 2 weeks ago, I have nothing to say to you. A flicker passes across Avery's face. Not anger, recognition. This is not going to script. Her followers, her money, her perfect life, none of it seems to intimidate Maya. Avery grips the phone harder. Maya lets go. The device drops screen down with a quiet crack against the concrete. But Maya does not reach for it. Her eyes move instead, past Avery, past Jordan and Tessa. She notes the 3 security cameras mounted on light poles, all pointed toward the bus stop. The bank across the street, with its ATM lens staring directly at them. The coffee shop with a barista frozen mid-wipe, watching with wide eyes. Witnesses everywhere, if you know where to look. That little toy camera you carry is not going to save you, Avery whispers, glancing at the cylindrical body cam clipped to Maya's backpack strap. Maya adjusts it with 2 fingers, like an afterthought. Avery straightens. Everything changes when I press send. She lifts her own phone. Her thumb hovers above the screen. Your address, your mom's work schedule, every route you take home. 52,000 followers who get very creative when they are motivated. Maya says nothing, but Tessa shifts uncomfortably. Jordan glances back toward the parking lot where Avery's silver Range Rover waits. Avery continues, her voice sugar and venom. For you, not for me. The words hang in the chill autumn air. Maya surveys the scene as if she is memorizing it. The slant of sunlight across the pavement, the way Avery tilts her wrist, the round face of her rose gold watch gleaming above her bracelet. You should have thought this through, Maya says quietly. Avery laughs, a short, brittle sound. You really think the cameras will matter? Maya does not blink. I think facts matter, Avery. Facts and timestamps. The comment lands like a pebble in still water. Tessa lowers her phone slightly. Jordan moves her weight from one foot to the other. Avery steps forward. Her perfume smells like vanilla, sharpened by something metallic underneath. Fear, perhaps, or fury. She bends down, picks up Maya's phone, holds it between her fingers. I am giving you one last chance. Delete everything you recorded, or I will ruin you. Maya meets her eyes. Number, a simple word. No tremor, no panic, just finality. Avery blinks. For the first time, uncertainty cracks her perfect mask. The sun dips lower, casting long shadows that stretch across the bus stop floor like dark fingers. A bus rumbles in the distance. Someone coughs. A man in a faded jacket glances their way and keeps walking. Avery leans closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you even understand who you are dealing with? Maya tilts her head slightly. Do you? Silence presses between them like glass. Then Avery smiles again, cold, bright, cruel. She drops Maya's phone, lets it lie shattered on the ground. Fine, you chose this, remember that. Maya says nothing, but her fingers brush the body cam again. The red light blinks steadily. Recording. Always recording. Avery turns sharply, her jacket swinging behind her as she walks toward her waiting car. Tessa follows, still filming. Jordan lingers a second longer. Her eyes meet Maya's. There is something almost like doubt buried there. Then she turns and leaves. The wind picks up, scattering dry leaves around Maya's feet. She bends finally to pick up her phone, the screen cracked but still glowing faintly. She wipes a streak of blood from her lip she had not realized was there. Behind her, the bank camera continues to watch. The coffee shop barista stares through the window. The world keeps moving. Buses arrive and depart. But something has shifted. Maya straightens, adjusts her bag, and steps into the lengthening shadows. The game has started, and she is no longer just a target. She is keeping score. 2 weeks earlier, the parking lot behind Ashgrove Prep was nearly empty. A dying street lamp flickered above rows of cars like a heartbeat losing rhythm. Maya Carter sat in her aging silver Toyota Corolla, textbooks open across the passenger seat, soft classical music humming through worn speakers. Her mother, Detective Naomi Carter, was working late again, and Maya had learned to treat waiting as an opportunity rather than a burden. She wrote answers to calculus problems with deliberate care, tapping her pencil once against the notebook each time an idea formed. Her fingers were cold. October seeped through the thin windows. She pulled her hoodie sleeves over her hands. The silence of the lot was almost peaceful. Until glass shattered. Maya looked up. Across the lot, under the broken lamp, a cherry-red Mercedes sat gleaming like a fresh wound. Beside it stood Avery Lang, perfect blonde braid, designer jacket, expression carved from ice. She lifted a tire iron and brought it down on the driver's window with startling precision. Crack. Shards spilled like diamonds. Then the passenger side. Crack. No alarm. She knew exactly how much force to use. Not a panic, a performance. On the hood of the car, a phone lay propped upright, recording everything. Maya's heart stuttered. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory from dozens of dinner-table conversations. Document everything. Time, date, location. Maya's hand moved before her mind caught up. She reached to the dashboard and tapped the small black dashcam clipped there. Installed 6 months earlier, after a hit and run in their neighborhood went unsolved. Laughed at by Avery's kind of people, but Naomi Carter had insisted. Always recording when the engine is on, Maya, trust, but verify. The recording light was already blinking. 90 seconds. That was how long the destruction lasted. Avery never looked around. She spray-painted across the hood, the letters, jagged, bright silver paint, stinking in the cold. It was ugly, personal, aimed at someone who had dared to challenge her. Emma Zhao, junior student, prom committee chair, the girl who beat Avery in an election that should have been a formality. Avery stepped back, filmed the finished scene with her phone, posted it somewhere maybe. Content for her curated world. Then she left. Her heels clicked across pavement until the red taillights vanished beyond the gate. Maya sat frozen, breath shallow. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She could drive away, pretend she saw nothing, or she could follow what she had been taught. She finished her calculus line, then lifted her phone. She checked the dashcam feed. It had captured everything, clear, time-stamped, geo-tagged, uploaded automatically to cloud. Her thumb hovered over the phone dial screen. If she called the police, there would be questions, reports, potential retaliation. And Avery Lang's family name hung in gold letters on the Humanities building. But if she stayed silent, Emma Zhao would face the fallout alone. That felt like complicity. She made the call, not to the police directly, to campus security. An anonymous tip. She attached the dashcam file from a burner email she created that night. No signature, no trace, but the truth. She thought that was the end. It was not. By sunrise the next day, whispers crept through Ashgrove Prep. Something had happened in the parking lot. Someone had reported it. Security footage on campus servers inexplicably corrupted during the night. Hard drives wiped by a so-called technical failure. Administrative investigation opened, then quietly closed. Emma stood by her ruined Mercedes with tear-swollen eyes, while Avery stood across the courtyard, comforting her with crocodile concern. Most believed Avery. Why would she destroy a car when her father could buy her 10 more? Only 3 cars had been in the lot that night, according to security gate logs. Emma's, Avery's Range Rover, and a 15-year-old Toyota registered to Detective Naomi Carter. On Thursday morning, Maya opened her Instagram. A message request waited from an unknown account. The image was her mother's car, taken outside their apartment. license plate visible, one word beneath, watching. Her chest went cold. That night she pulled out her mother's old jogging body camera from a dusty box in the garage. Small, cylindrical, clips to clothing. She attached it to her backpack strap, chest level, always recording. When classmates asked, she said it was for safety. In truth, it was survival. She began writing. A logbook, date, time, harassment incident, names, screenshots, photographs backed up to 3 cloud accounts. No detail too small, no threat unrecorded. Somewhere in the shadows of Ashgrove a silent war had started, and Maya Carter was done being prey. By Monday morning the transformation was complete. Maya Carter was no longer a student at Ashgrove Prep. She was a ghost who still occupied the hallways. People did not whisper when she passed. They fell silent. Lunch tables suddenly filled just before she arrived. Seats in classrooms that had been empty were now taken by backpacks the moment she stepped inside. Even teachers hesitated before calling her name, as if saying it might summon trouble. It began subtly after the anonymous Instagram message. One day Maya sat alone at lunch. The next her lab partner asked to switch tables. The day after, her name vanished from a group project sheet. No explanation, no eye contact. Eyes slid away from her like she was a fire alarm behind glass. Do not touch unless absolutely necessary. Avery Lang did not need to lay a finger on her. She simply adjusted perception. One carefully composed story on her private account. A caption about betrayal. A blurred image of Maya's backpack from behind. No direct accusations, just enough to imply. And the school obeyed. Then came the digital attack. At 7:22 a.m. on a Monday, a new Instagram page appeared. Username Maya's Truth. Profile picture. A backlit photo of a girl standing alone by the school gates. The tagline read, "She watches, now we watch back." The first video posted 1 hour later. Security camera style, grainy footage. Maya slipping a lipstick into her hoodie at a downtown drugstore. Except Maya had not been there. She could prove where she was, but the video was flawless. Deepfake technology, professionally edited. The comment section exploded. So disappointed, knew something was off about her. Detective mom stealing too. By third period, the video had 500 views. By lunch, it had 1,600. Teachers stared at her with caution, thinly disguised as sympathy. Principal Peter Dalton called her into his office. His walls were lined with awards and photographs of smiling students. He folded his hands and spoke like he was already tired. "Maya, this is serious. Theft accusations, harassment claims, these are heavy words." "That video is fake," Maya replied calmly. "I can prove I was nowhere near that store. Receipts, location logs, witnesses." Dalton exhaled. Long, slow. "Maya, I know teenagers today deal with pressures my generation never imagined. But accusing your peers, suggesting someone fabricated evidence, that will not solve anything. You are asking me to stay quiet while someone dismantles my life," Maya said. "I am asking you to be realistic. The Pierce family has supported this institution generously. Sometimes choosing peace is the mature thing." Maya rose from her chair without waiting for dismissal. She now understood. The adults would look away as long as looking was inconvenient. Outside the office, she found Emma Zhao waiting. Emma's arms were wrapped around a stack of textbooks like a shield. Her voice was soft, almost guilty. "I know Avery did it to my car. I know you reported it. I am sorry I did not say anything." "You do not owe me anything," Maya replied. "That is not true," Emma said, but her courage stopped there. She turned and disappeared down the hallway. The harassment sharpened. Glue in her locker lock. Notes with the word rat scrawled across them. Someone spray-painted coward on her gym locker, still wet when she arrived. She photographed it, added date and time, uploaded to her log. At night, she sat at her kitchen table beside cold teacups. Her mother worked late. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. Maya copied screenshots into folders. Printed copies, too. Triple backup, hard drive, cloud USB hidden under her mattress. 47 incidents and counting. She could feel herself fading from the world. People stopped using her name like it might burn their tongues. But she refused to vanish. The body camera clipped to her backpack became part of her uniform. Light, invisible, always watching. When classmates asked, she answered simply, for safety. She no longer walked with her head down. She memorized every camera on campus, every blind spot, every path Avery's crew used to corner others. The fear that had once lived in her chest turned into something colder, sharper, purpose. One night, she looked at her reflection in the dark screen of her laptop. Bruised circles under her eyes, lips pressed into a thin line. "I am not the victim," she whispered. "I am the record." She pressed save on incident number 47. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat. Outside the window, the wind rattled the glass. Somewhere in the night, a message notification buzzed on her phone. But Maya did not flinch. Let them watch. She was watching back. The email was not dramatic. No threat, no emotion. Just a subject line typed in plain black text at 3:17 a.m. Ongoing harassment documentation request. Time-stamped acknowledgement. It went to Ms. Carla Alvarez, the Title IX coordinator at Ashgrove Prep. It was carbon copied to Principal Peter Dalton, the school counselor, and the district superintendent. Below it waited 47 attachments arranged in numerical order. Maya Carter sat alone at the kitchen table when she pressed send. Her apartment was dark except for the glow of the laptop and a single lamp over the stove. Her mother, Detective Naomi Carter, had worked a double shift and would not be home until dawn. The silence pressed against her like a weight, but her hands were steady. The email itself was 8 paragraphs long. It cited federal law Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. It defined harassment, institutional liability, and the legal obligation to act once notified. Each incident was labeled with date, time, location, involved individuals, digital evidence, and the immediate consequence to her safety or education. It was written with the precision of a police report because Maya had spent years reading her mother's case files at the kitchen counter, while pasta boiled or tea steeped. When she finished, she closed the laptop and exhaled, not in relief, in preparation. Ms. Alvarez responded at 7:02 a.m. "Thank you for your submission. I acknowledge receipt and will begin review immediately." The message was brief, almost clinical, but to Maya, it was the sound of a door unlocking. Legally, the clock had started. If the school failed to respond, they would be liable. She had forced the system to look, whether it wanted to or not. At school, the air felt different. Nothing visible had changed. Students still whispered. Teachers still avoided her gaze, but Maya walked with her head higher. She knew something they did not. Every time Avery Lang or her friends glanced in her direction, Maya imagined a thin, invisible line connecting them to her log. Each look, each word, evidence. During lunch, she sat alone at the back table. The cafeteria buzzed with voices, trays slamming, metal chairs scraping against linoleum. Maya pulled out a small journal. Not digital this time, ink on paper, red cover. Inside she copied the last few incidents, handwriting sharp and controlled. A tray clattered down across from her. Ms. Alvarez stood there holding a coffee and a notebook. "May I sit?" Her voice was gentle but serious. Maya nodded. "I read your email this morning," Ms. Alvarez said. "All of it. I need you to understand that by submitting it, you have triggered a formal investigation. The administration is now legally responsible for your safety." Maya stirred her untouched milk with a straw. "Does that mean they will protect me?" "It means they cannot ignore you anymore," Ms. Alvarez answered. "Sometimes that is the first step." Maya closed the journal halfway. What happens next? Interviews, evidence reviews, documentation of administrative responses, and likely backlash. People do not like systems being forced to change, especially powerful families. "You mean the Langs?" "I mean anyone who benefits from silence." They sat in quiet for a moment, as laughter burst from another table. Avery was over there surrounded by friends, smiling like nothing in the world could touch her. Ms. Alvarez lowered her voice. "You are brave to do this, but bravery does not guarantee safety. If anything escalates, you come to me. Directly. Understood?" Maya nodded once, understood. After school, she waited for her mother at the station, body camera blinking under her jacket. Detective Naomi Carter arrived late, as always, hair pulled into a tight bun. Exhaustion etched into her face. She noticed the bruise on Maya's arm before Maya spoke a word. "Who did this?" "It is in the file," Maya said simply. Her mother stared at her. The body camera, the journal, the cloud uploads, all of it. "You knew this would keep escalating," Naomi said quietly. "I knew the system would not move unless I made it." Naomi rubbed her forehead. "You are 17, Maya, and you raised me on chain of custody and probable cause. What did you expect?" Her mother almost smiled. A tired, broken, almost. "Just promise me you will not try to win this alone." "I am not alone," Maya answered, and for the first time it felt true. That night she updated the log. Incident 48. Verbal threat in hallway. No physical contact. Witnesses present. Body camera footage saved. She closed the journal and looked at the stack of printed files sealed in plastic folders. She whispered the words that had become her anchor. Let the system work. But she already knew, sometimes you do not wait for justice, you build it. The Ashgrove Prep Library was always quiet after midday, a sanctuary of dust and sunlight where no one bothered with whispers, because no one needed to. Tall windows stretched from floor to ceiling, bookstacks stood like silent witnesses, and the air smelled faintly of ink and old pages. At 12:47 p.m. on a Wednesday, that quiet shattered, not with sound, but with the subtle shift that comes before a storm. Maya Carter sat at the back corner, her calculus notebook open, pen moving across the page. Her backpack rested beside her chair, body camera clipped to the front strap, its small red light blinking steadily. She liked this spot. No cameras, 2 exits, shelves high enough to block sight but not sound. A strategic location, not a retreat. Footsteps approached, slow, measured. 3 sets. She didn't look up when Avery Lang stopped beside her table. She didn't react when Tessa Reed positioned herself near the end of the row, phone already in hand, recording. She only paused when Jordan Hale stood behind her, close enough that Maya could feel the warmth of her breath. "You filed a complaint." Avery's voice was soft, almost amused. "Title 9, about me." Maya kept her pen moving for one more second before setting it down. "I documented harassment, multiple incidents, all verifiable." Avery leaned against the table edge, posture relaxed but eyes sharp. "You think you're clever. Using laws you Googled, sending emails in the middle of the night. You forgot something important, and what is that? This system protects people like me, not people like you." Maya turned a page as if the conversation were a minor inconvenience. "People like me, you mean students who saw you vandalize a car and didn't pretend it never happened." A shadow of irritation flickered across Avery's face. "You could have deleted the footage. You could have stayed quiet, but you made this personal." Maya looked up for the first time, calm, unshaken, number. "You made this personal when you picked up a tire iron." Silence stretched, thin as glass. Tessa's phone captured everything. Jordan shifted her stance, muscles tense. Outside the window, leaves drifted in lazy spirals to the ground. Avery leaned closer, her voice a whisper now. "Do you know what happens to people who don't understand their place?" "Yes." Maya's hand moved to her backpack strap. Fingers brushed the body camera. "They write laws." Avery's smile vanished. "That," Maya continued quietly, "is criminal intimidation under State Code 18-9-11. Attempting to coerce someone into withholding evidence through threats or harm. Class 2 misdemeanor. Possible felony enhancement depending on the underlying crime." Tessa's phone dipped slightly. Jordan looked away. "You memorize statute numbers?" Avery scoffed. "That's pathetic. My mother is a detective. Dinner conversations were not about vacations." Maya stood, gathering her notebook with unhurried precision. She slung her backpack over one shoulder, the black lens of the body camera catching light. She met Avery's gaze, steady and unblinking. "You said accidents happen to snitches. I just wanted you to know exactly what statute you're violating when they do. Avery's jaw clenched. Her polished control began to fracture. You think this is over? Number? Maya walked past her, every step measured. I think this is evidence. Jordan didn't move to block her this time. Tessa lowered her phone. Avery stood in silence, frozen in place, eyes burning with something more dangerous than anger. Fear. Maya's heart thudded in her chest, but her steps remained steady as she left the library. She counted them under her breath. 1, 2, 3. Each one away from fear, each one toward something sharper. She didn't see Avery's fists curl at her sides. She didn't hear the soft scrape of Jordan's shoe on the floor, or Tessa whispering, "Should we stop?" She only heard Avery's final word, barely audible, following her like a promise. This isn't over. Maya didn't need to turn around to answer. She already knew it wasn't over. Not yet. Not until the moment Avery Lang forgot to be careful. That moment was coming, and Maya Carter would be ready. The message arrived at 11:30 p.m. on a Friday night. Maya Carter lay awake in the dark of her bedroom, the only light coming from the dim glow of her phone screen across the room. She heard the soft vibration on her nightstand and knew before she touched it that it was from Avery Lang. Tomorrow I'm posting your address and your mom's work schedule. Let's see how safe you feel when everyone knows where you sleep. She read it 3 times. No threats disguised as metaphor. No social games. A direct promise of violence delivered through thousands of strangers. For a full minute she didn't move. She listened to the soft hum of the refrigerator down the hall, the quiet breathing of her mother asleep in the next room, the faint buzz of streetlights outside their window. Then she took a screenshot, saved it to her harassment log, uploaded it to 3 cloud drives. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed 8 words. Do it. The police report is already filed. She added the legal phrase, publication of personal information with intent to threaten or cause harm. Cyberstalking, Penal Code Section, Class C felony. She pressed send. It was a lie. She hadn't filed anything yet, but she knew Avery didn't know that. For the first time, the silence that followed felt heavy. A line had been crossed, not bullying, not humiliation, a threat to her home, to her mother. Maybe that was the point Avery's father had always made in silence and money. Some people stayed safe because they knew where the lines were, and some people stayed safe because they ignored them. Maya locked her phone, her heartbeat slowed. She lay back and stared at the ceiling. At 11:41 p.m., she updated her log. Incident 48, threat of doxing, explicit intent to release private data. Evidence attached. Next step, prepare physical file for MPD submission. In another house across town, Avery stared at the words on her phone. Do it. The police report is already filed. For the first time, her hand trembled. Her reflection stared back in her screen, all perfect eyelashes and uncertainty. She did not reply, but she did not back down either. On Saturday morning, Maya woke before dawn. She stood in the kitchen while coffee brewed and printed copies of all 47 incidents. She placed them in a binder, labeled it Carter versus Lang et al. She paused at Incident 48, left the page blank, ready for a new heading. Her mother Naomi entered the kitchen still half in uniform, hair unbrushed, eyes sharp despite exhaustion. Maya slid the binder across the table. Naomi opened it. Page after page. Photos, screenshots, logs, timestamps. Then the threat. You knew this was coming, Naomi said, voice quiet. You could have walked away and let Emma stand alone. Let her do this to someone else next. Maya shook her head. You taught me better than that. Naomi's gaze softened for a fractured second, then hardened again. You understand, if I file this officially, I cannot be your mother in this case. I will be an officer. It becomes real. Court, depositions, cross-examination. Maya nodded. It is already real. Naomi closed the binder. I will make the call. But Avery made hers first. By afternoon, a new post appeared on her private story. A photo of Maya's street sign. Blurred edges. Caption, soon. The comments flooded in, some laughing, some cheering, some uneasy. That night, Maya didn't sleep. She sat at her desk, body camera charging beside her, and planned. Not revenge, not violence. Documentation. If Avery wanted a public reckoning, Maya would give her one. But it would be on Maya's terms. Under streetlights and camera lenses, with witnesses and timestamps, where the law could not pretend it didn't see. Sunday morning, she sent one message to Avery. Tomorrow, 4:30, downtown bus stop. No threats, no insults, just a meeting point, cameras everywhere, a place to end it. Avery saw it, smiled thinly. Finally. Monday would decide everything, and Maya Carter would be ready. The bus stop at downtown Millbrook looked ordinary to anyone passing by. A metal bench, a plexiglass shelter, a timetable faded by rain and fingerprints. But to Maya Carter, it was a stage, and every camera lens in a 2-block radius was a spotlight, waiting to capture the ending she had scripted. She arrived at 4:17 p.m., gray hoodie, backpack zipped, body camera clipped to her chest, light blinking red. Her hands were steady even though her heartbeat tapped against her ribs like a metronome set too fast. She sat on the bench. The sidewalk around her filled and emptied with the rhythm of commuter life. Office workers, college students, a man in a navy coat reading a newspaper on the far bench. She noticed the cameras immediately. One mounted on the lamppost, another above the bus shelter, the bank's ATM camera directly across the street. At 4:29 p.m., a silver Range Rover pulled into the nearby lot. Avery Lang stepped out like she owned the pavement. Designer jacket, rose gold watch. Tessa Reed followed, holding her phone upright, already recording. Jordan Hale walked behind them, broad-shouldered, jaw tense. Their shadows stretched long on the ground as they approached. Maya stood. She didn't run, didn't speak first. She only adjusted the strap of her backpack, like securing armor. "You really showed up," Avery said, stopping an arm's length away. Her voice held a sharp edge. "Brave or stupid? I haven't decided." Maya's reply was calm. "There are 3 security cameras on this block and 2 across the street. Your choice." Avery stepped closer. "I'm not here to talk about cameras. I'm here to finish this." Jordan moved then, quick, efficient. She circled behind Maya and grabbed both her arms, pinning them to her sides. The hold was practiced, contained. Not enough to bruise, enough to trap. Tessa shifted her angle, framing the scene with her phone. Maya didn't fight. Fighting back would give them what they wanted. Instead, she focused her eyes on the body camera, still recording. She let her muscles relax, her voice stayed even. "Let go. You think your little legal papers and cameras make you untouchable," Avery said. Her breath smelled faintly of mint and adrenaline. "You humiliated me. You made me a villain. And now I get to show everyone what happens to people who cross me." Around them, the world hesitated. A barista pressed her face to the coffee shop window. The man on the bench lowered his newspaper. A student waiting for the bus took out her phone but didn't intervene. The bystander effect, unfolding in real time. "Delete the footage," Avery said, "all of it. Dashcam, bodycam, copies, and say you lied about everything. Say you wanted attention." "No," Maya said. Avery's jaw clenched. "Say it. Number." The word hung in the air like a match waiting to be struck. Avery's eyes narrowed. "Fine." She grabbed Maya's hair and yanked hard. Maya's head jerked downward. Asphalt rushed up in her vision, then pain exploded. Avery's knee drove into Maya's face with brutal force. A sharp crack, cartilage breaking. Blood burst warm across her lips and chin. Jordan released her. Maya's knees buckled. She hit the pavement. The world tilted, sound muffled like she was underwater. Tessa gasped but kept recording. Maya's body curled on instinct, arms protecting her head. Her phone lay shattered beside her. The backpack had fallen to the ground. The body camera was hanging by a thread, jerking with every movement. Avery picked it up, held it high like a trophy. No evidence, no case. Her foot lifted, ready to crush it. Maya's voice came thin and wet but clear. "Check your watch." Avery froze. "What?" "Your watch," Maya murmured, blood dripping from her mouth. "Check it." Avery looked down automatically. The rose-gold Cartier on her wrist gleamed under the afternoon sun. "Timestamp," Maya whispered. "Every camera here just filmed you assaulting me. Date, time, location. And that watch is in every frame." Avery's expression shifted. Confusion gave way to horror. She looked up at the bank camera, the city lamppost, the phones held by strangers. The man on the bench had set down his paper. He was dialing. His voice carried across the street. 9/11. Assault in progress. Sirens wailed in the distance. Closer, closer. Avery dropped the body camera like it had burned her. "This was self-defense," she said weakly. "She attacked me first." Maya lay on the ground, blood pooling beneath her cheek. She did not answer. She did not have to. Her silence, her injuries, the cameras, the witnesses, they spoke louder. "We need to go," Tessa whispered, terror edging her voice. Jordan was already running. Avery hesitated, frozen for one heartbeat too long. Then she turned and fled, designer shoes slapping against the concrete. By the time Officer Aaron Quinn arrived, lights flashing, Maya Carter was no longer a silent victim. She was the center of the story, and the trap had closed. The world blurred into fragments of light and sound as Maya Carter lay on the pavement. Sirens approached like a rising tide. Her nose throbbed with a blinding pulse, blood soaking her shirt and pooling beneath her cheek. Every breath tasted of iron. Voices floated around her like ghosts, someone shouting, someone crying. The sharp hiss of a radio. A pair of boots stopped beside her. Officer Aaron Quinn crouched down, her voice steady and low. "Don't move, help is 2 minutes out. Can you tell me your name?" Maya's lips were sticky with blood, but her reply was clear. "Maya Carter, my mother is Detective Naomi Carter, badge number 4215. I want to press charges." Quinn's eyes sharpened. She pressed a gloved hand gently against Maya's shoulder to keep her still. "What happened here?" Maya's hand trembled as she reached for her backpack, fingertips brushing against the canvas until she found it. Inside, she pulled out a plastic folder, edges bent but intact. She pressed it into Quinn's hand. 47 documented incidents. Names, dates, screenshots, videos. This was not chaos. This was evidence. Across the street, bystanders huddled, their phones still held up like shields. A barista from the coffee shop wiped shaking hands on her apron. The elderly man who had called 911 stood with his arms crossed, watching every movement. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics lifted Maya onto a stretcher, their gloves stained red within seconds. Her vision flickered. Streetlights glowed overhead like moons caught in glass. She heard someone gasp when blood dripped onto the pavement. Someone whispered, "Is that the girl from the video?" They loaded her into the ambulance. Officer Quinn climbed in beside her, still holding the evidence folder. Maya's voice was muffled around swelling. "The body camera." She dropped it. "Man on the bench. He has it." "We'll get it," Quinn promised. Half an hour later, fluorescent lights and antiseptic swallowed everything. The emergency room was a blur of movement, nurses cutting away Maya's blood-soaked hoodie, a doctor examining the angle of her nose. Pain radiated like fire beneath her skin. Then the curtain shifted. Detective Naomi Carter stood there, uniform still on, badge gleaming under hospital lights. For 3 seconds, she didn't speak. She just looked at her daughter, at the bruises, the blood, the gauze. Maya's voice cracked. "I'm okay." Naomi stepped forward and pulled her into a careful embrace. "You're not, but you will be." Officer Quinn stood nearby, hands behind her back, the evidence folder tucked under one arm. Detective Carter turned to her, voice like ice. "Walk me through it." Quinn listed everything: the assault, the witnesses, the footage from the 3 security cameras, the bank's ATM, the body camera, now recovered and bagged, the students who recorded on their phones, the identities of the attackers: Avery Lang, Tessa Reed, Jordan Hale. Naomi didn't interrupt. She just nodded once. Then she said, "I want warrants. I want all footage secured. I want them brought in." "Already in progress," Quinn replied. The doctor returned with the x-rays, nasal fracture, displaced cartilage. They would reset it and stop the bleeding. Painful but repairable. No lasting damage if treated correctly. While they worked, Naomi sat beside Maya, one hand wrapped around her daughter's wrist. Maya winced as bone shifted. Tears pricked her eyes but did not fall. She stared at the ceiling and thought of Avery's face freezing when she looked at her watch. When it was over, the doctor left them alone. Naomi finally spoke. "You knew this would happen." Maya nodded slowly. "I had to let her make the first move. Otherwise, they could claim I provoked it. Cameras, witnesses, optimal visibility. I called you an hour before to tell you where I'd be." Naomi exhaled, somewhere between pride and fear. "You're either brilliant or reckless. Can't I be both? That's what scares me." Outside the hospital room, footsteps echoed. Officer Quinn returned. "All three are in custody. Parents are lawyering up. But we have video from 5 angles, witnesses, the body cam, and the harassment log." Naomi nodded. "Good. Book them. Full charges. Assault and battery, harassment, conspiracy." Maya lay back against the pillow, exhaustion washing over her like a tide. The pain was sharp but distant now. She closed her eyes. The powerless had become powerful, and the evidence was undeniable. This was no longer a whispered secret. It was a case, and it had just begun. The courthouse smelled faintly of old paper and polished wood. The ceiling fans spun lazily overhead, stirring warm air through the gallery, where students, parents, and reporters whispered behind their hands. Maya Carter sat in the second row beside her mother, Detective Naomi Carter. Her nose had healed into a slight curve, and the bruises had faded to yellow shadows. But her eyes remained sharp and unflinching. At the front of the courtroom, Avery Lang stood between her parents and her attorney, wearing an orange jail-issued jumpsuit instead of her designer clothes. Her wrists were cuffed in front of her. She looked smaller than anyone had ever seen her. The makeup-free face, red-rimmed eyes, gone was the social queen of Lancaster Academy. In her place stood a girl who had run out of control and into consequences. Judge Eleanor Harrington entered with the measured calm of someone who had seen every version of tragedy and arrogance pass through her courtroom. "All rise." The room obeyed. The bailiff called the case. State of Michigan versus Avery Lang. Charges: assault and battery, criminal harassment, conspiracy to commit cyberstalking, attempted destruction of evidence. The prosecutor, Assistant District Attorney Grace Liu, stood and began her opening remarks. She spoke with quiet precision, walking the judge through each charge. The assault at the Millbrook bus stop, the harassment campaign that preceded it, the Title IX complaint ignored by school administration, the 47 incidents documented by Maya Carter with timestamps, witnesses, screenshots, and videos. She placed the thick evidence binder on the table with a soft finality that echoed louder than any accusation. Avery's attorney tried to argue for leniency. She is a minor, no prior record, influenced by peer pressure and emotional distress. He mentioned academic achievements, charity work, and a promising future. But the video from the bus stop played on the courtroom screen silenced every justification. The footage from the bank camera showed Avery kneeing Maya in the face, the timestamp, the watch, the blood. No sound was needed. The room held its breath. Maya watched Avery on the screen and then looked at her in real life. No satisfaction, just a quiet, aching certainty that this moment had been inevitable from the first threat. She remembered the text message, promising to release her address. The words still lingered like smoke. Next came the testimony. First Officer Aaron Quinn. Then Mr. Park, who had called 911. Then students who had recorded from across the street. Some trembled as they spoke. Others stared at the floor. Their voices built a picture the court could not ignore. One by one they described what they had seen. Maya stood only when her name was called. She walked to the witness stand, swore the oath. Saturday. Her heartbeat was steady. Attorney Liu asked her to describe the events leading up to the assault. Maya spoke clearly. The Mercedes vandalism, the threats, the fake account, the social exile, the body camera, the harassment log, the bus stop, the pain, the blood. She did not dramatize, she did not soften. When asked why she kept documenting, she replied, "Because the system only listens when you have proof." In the gallery, someone gasped quietly. Avery's attorney cross-examined. He asked if Maya had provoked Avery, if wearing the camera was an attempt to humiliate her, if she wanted revenge. Maya answered calmly, "Number, number, and justice is not revenge. It is accountability." Judge Harrington watched every word. When the questioning ended, Maya stepped down and returned to her seat. Her mother placed a hand gently over hers. No words were needed. Then came Tessa Reed and Jordan Hale. Both had accepted plea deals. Both admitted their roles. Their voices shook as they described Avery's instructions, the messages, the planning. They cried. They said they were sorry. Maya listened, but her face revealed nothing. After closing arguments, silence filled the courtroom like a held breath. Judge Harrington looked over the evidence, the statements, the law. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm and unwavering. "Avery Lang, the court finds you guilty." Sentencing recommendations included 1-year probation, 200 hours community service, mandatory counseling, restitution for medical expenses, and a public video apology to remain on social media permanently. Avery's knees buckled. Her mother caught her arm. Her father stared straight ahead, his jaw tight. Reporters scribbled. Cameras clicked. Maya sat still, hands clasped in her lap. She felt no victory, only the weight of conclusion. Justice was not triumphant. It was quiet, precise, necessary. Outside the courthouse, the sky was pale gray. Reporters surged forward, asking questions. Maya stepped up to the microphone. Her voice was steady. This was never about ruining someone's life. It was about proving that mine mattered. Flashbulbs burst like stars, and the world listened. By the time the video of the bus stop assault hit social media, it had been shared across platforms faster than anyone could contain it. It started on a local student forum, then leapt to Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where it exploded. The clip was only 23 seconds long, but it captured everything. Avery Lang grabbing Maya's hair, the sickening snap of the knee, blood, shocked gasps from the crowd, the watch on Avery's wrist glinting in the sun like a signature. A digital courtroom before the legal one had even begun. Within hours, hashtags began to trend. Justice for Maya, Stop the Silence, Avery Lang exposed. Commentators dissected each frame. News outlets posted headlines about violence at elite private schools and failures of institutional oversight. Influencers offered opinions. Some condemned, some made it about themselves. But the voices of other victims, those who had stayed silent for years, now found oxygen. They filled comment sections with stories until the platforms could barely contain them. Avery's carefully curated online empire began to crumble in real time. Her 52,000 followers dwindled. Brand partnerships cut ties. Statements were released by companies she'd once been the face of, saying, "We do not condone bullying or violence." Universities she had applied to announced they would reconsider admissions in light of recent developments. Her last Instagram post of a smiling selfie with a caption about kindness filled with venomous comments. "Hypocrite, bully, you got caught." At Lancaster Academy, administrators scrambled. Principal Wyatt Hale, who had dismissed Maya's pleas, now sat in an emergency school board meeting being questioned by furious parents and journalists. Why was nothing done until violence occurred? Why was a Title IX complaint ignored? Why was a teenager forced to gather her own evidence? Ms. Joanna Ortiz, the Title IX coordinator, presented Maya's organized log to the board. 47 incidents, screenshots, dates, times, emails unanswered. The board fell silent. Principal Hale was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Ms. Ortiz was appointed interim head of student safety. New policies were drafted: mandatory harassment training, anonymous reporting systems. a zero-tolerance policy for retaliation. But policy did not erase memory. Students whispered in hallways. Some avoided Maya. Others walked up to her just to say, "I'm sorry," or "I should have helped." Maya returned to school 3 weeks after the hearing. The bruises were gone, but the eyes that followed her were different now. No longer mocking, no longer indifferent. Some were full of guilt, others full of awe. She walked through the halls with her backpack over one shoulder and her head held high. Tessa and Jordan avoided her gaze in the cafeteria. Their plea deals had kept them out of juvenile detention, but not out of shame. Even Avery's former friends drifted away from her small house, where she remained under probation and the glow of an ankle monitor. Her apology video had been posted that morning as required by the court. She sat in her bedroom, barefaced, reading from a legal script about accountability, remorse, and consequences. Comments were disabled, but shares were not. The internet did what it always did. It refused to forget. That afternoon, Maya sat in Ms. Ortiz's new office. The walls were lined with posters about consent, reporting, safety. A plant sat in the corner on a sunlight-warmed windowsill. "Thank you, Ms. Ortiz," said her voice soft. "What you did forced this school to change." Maya stared at her hands. "It shouldn't have taken this." "I know, but it did. And now it won't again. Not here." Outside the school, the world had changed in ways both loud and subtle. Talk shows debated the ethics of digital evidence and teenage cruelty. Lawyers used the case in seminars on cyber harassment. Police departments across the state distributed updated guidelines for handling student complaints. News anchors referred to it as the Carter precedent, a story where a powerless girl built a case strong enough to force institutions to listen. One evening, Maya sat at the dining table while her mother brewed tea. Letters had started arriving from students across the state, some from strangers, some unsigned. Some from kids at Lancaster, afraid their friends would turn into Avery. One read simply, "Thank you for proving someone like me can fight back." Naomi placed a mug before her. "You changed things." Maya stared at the steam rising from the tea. "Did I?" Naomi nodded. "You made them see, and once people see, they cannot unsee." Night settled over the quiet apartment. The city hummed with distant traffic, the world still turning. Outside their window, streetlights flickered to life. Inside, Maya Carter sat in the soft glow of the lamp, silent, but no longer silent. She had fought, she had bled, and now people listened. Spring sunlight filtered through the blinds of the Carter apartment, painting pale lines across the kitchen table where Maya sat with a stack of unopened envelopes. Some bore school district seals, others were handwritten in careful script. The world outside moved on with chirping birds and distant traffic, but inside everything felt still. She picked up the last envelope, thicker, heavier. The return address read, State Education Committee. Her mother watched silently from the stove, coffee steaming in her mug. Maya opened it. Inside was an official letter printed on cream paper with a gold emblem. The committee formally invited her to testify at the state capitol about cyber harassment and institutional accountability. They wanted her to speak about what schools failed to do, what students endured, and how the law should adapt. Her breath caught halfway through the first paragraph. She reread it twice. Her hands trembled slightly. Naomi moved to the table and sat across from her. "You don't have to do it," she said gently. "Nobody will blame you. You've done more than enough." Maya stared at the letter. It isn't about blame, it's about making sure nobody else carries their proof in a backpack. Naomi nodded once, pride and fear mingling in her eyes. "Then you'll do it, and you won't do it alone." The weeks that followed blurred into preparation. Ms. Joanna Ortiz helped draft talking points. Lawyers from the district reviewed her harassment log to ensure no confidential student data was exposed. Maya practiced her speech in front of the mirror, her voice steady but her heart racing. At school, whispers followed her like shadows. Some students offered support. Others avoided her gaze. A few sent anonymous messages of gratitude. One afternoon, Emma Lynn, the girl whose Mercedes had been vandalized, tracked Maya down in the library. She stood awkwardly at the end of the table. "I never said thank you. You didn't have to send that footage. You could have stayed quiet." Maya closed her notebook, Staying quiet would have been easier. Emma nodded slowly. Easier doesn't mean right. Maya said nothing, but the corner of her mouth lifted just slightly. The day before the hearing, a small box arrived at their apartment. No return name, just a note in neat handwriting. For the part of you that never stopped fighting. Inside was a silver pen engraved with the words, "Your voice matters." Naomi examined it, brow furrowing. Who sent this? Maya shrugged. Maybe someone who understands. Morning of the hearing, the Capitol building rose like carved stone against a pale sky. Its marble steps gleamed in early light. Students on a field trip wandered the plaza, oblivious to the history unfolding inside. Maya stood at the base of the stairs in a navy blazer, hair neatly pinned back. Her mother adjusted the collar of her jacket, a rare softness in her eyes. You ready? Number. Good. Means you understand the weight of it. They passed through security. Hushed hallways stretched ahead, lined with portraits of past lawmakers and flags. Committee Room 14 buzzed softly when they entered. Lawmakers sat in a semicircle. Reporters filled the back rows. Ms. Ortiz was already there. So was Emma. So was Officer Quinn. Each offered a quiet nod. A clerk called Maya's name. She walked to the witness table. Microphones, glasses of water, papers neatly stacked. She sat, adjusted her chair, and looked up. The committee chair, a silver-haired woman with sharp, attentive eyes, said, "When you're ready, Ms. Carter." Maya inhaled slowly. "My name is Maya Carter. I'm 17 years old. I'm here because I did everything a student is told to do when they are in danger. I reported, I documented, I asked for help, and I was ignored. Until I bled." The room stilled. She spoke for nearly 40 minutes. She described the threats, the isolation, the night Avery texted her address, the way adults looked away because the bully's family was powerful. She spoke about evidence, about systems built to protect reputations instead of students, about how justice should not depend on who your parents are or how much money they have. When she finished, lawmakers asked questions. What policies failed? How could schools better preserve digital evidence? What could teachers do differently? Maya answered each one with calm precision. She did not cry. She did not falter. When it was over, the chair said softly, "Thank you, Miss Carter. You've done more than most adults ever will." Maya stood. From the gallery, her mother's eyes shone with a pride that said everything words could not. Reporters surged forward, but Naomi stepped between them and her daughter. Not today. Outside the building, cherry blossoms fluttered in the wind like pale confetti. Maya stopped at the edge of the Capitol steps. Her phone buzzed, a message request from an unfamiliar username. Phoenix Rising 2025. Just 3 words. Thank you, for all of us. Maya looked up at the wide sky. A soft breath left her lips. She whispered, "You're welcome," and then she kept walking. 3 months passed like pages turning in a book no one expected Maya Carter to write. Spring faded into early summer. The bruises were gone. The court case was closed. Her name had appeared in articles, legal newsletters, and student essays about courage. Yet in the quiet of her room, Maya still woke sometimes with the echo of Avery's knee and the sound of her own heartbeat roaring in her ears. Healing was not linear. It moved like waves, retreating and returning, each time softer. Life at Lancaster Academy changed in ways both profound and understated. Posters appeared in hallways about digital safety, consent, and reporting abuse. Anonymous reporting boxes were installed near every counseling office. Ms. Ortiz now held weekly student forums, and the school created a peer advocacy council where trained students supported survivors of bullying and harassment. Maya attended the first meeting, but chose not to join. She did not need a title to keep fighting. Avery Lang completed her first 20 hours of community service at a local shelter. Sometimes, news articles mentioned her working silently with trash bags and donations, her ankle monitor blinking like a reminder. Her social media remained dry and empty, the apology video still pinned at the top. No comments, only millions of silent views. Maya didn't check it often, but when she did, she felt neither triumph nor sorrow, only distance. One warm evening in June, Maya sat on the fire escape outside her bedroom window with a notebook balanced on her knees. The city hummed below, alive and distant. Her mother stepped onto the balcony holding 2 cups of tea. Naomi didn't say anything at first. She just sat beside her, their shoulders barely touching. "You know," Naomi said quietly, "when I was your age, I thought justice was a courtroom and a verdict. You showed me it can begin long before either." Maya traced the spine of her notebook. "I didn't change anything alone. Number. You changed people enough that they chose differently. That's harder." Down the street, laughter carried from a group of kids playing basketball under streetlights. Somewhere, a dog barked. Life continued, not perfect, but different. Near the end of June, Maya received another letter. This one came from a nonprofit focused on digital ethics and youth advocacy. They invited her to join their advisory panel. Not a speech this time, a voice in policy development. Her mother read it twice, then looked at her. "You don't have to keep being strong if you're tired." Maya smiled softly. Maybe strength isn't never being tired. Maybe it's choosing to keep going, even when you are. She accepted the invitation. Summer brought warmth and stillness. Emma Lynn visited one afternoon with iced coffee and awkward conversation. They sat on Maya's couch listening to quiet music. Emma said, "I bought a dashcam because of you. I thought you should know." Maya smiled. "Good. Evidence saves lives." Tessa and Jordan never spoke to her again, but their names appeared in juvenile counseling reports and community service registers. Consequences, not vengeance. One evening, Maya opened her messages and saw another request from Phoenix Rising 2025. This time she accepted instantly. The message said, "I'm testifying at my school. They ignored me, but I watched your video. I documented everything. I'm scared." Maya replied, "Good. That means you understand the stakes. You're not alone. I'll help." She set her phone down and breathed. The world felt heavy, but not crushing. In late July, she walked past the bus stop where it had all begun. The pavement was clean now. No blood, no shards of phone glass. Just a metal bench and the hum of traffic. She stood still for a moment, not in fear, but in memory. This was where she learned the difference between silence and strategy. Between being a victim and becoming a witness, a bus pulled up. Passengers boarded. Maya didn't. She turned and walked toward the coffee shop instead. Inside, the barista recognized her and offered a quiet nod. The same bench where Mr. Park once sat stood empty. She bought a coffee and sat down, watching sunlight dance on the sidewalk. Her phone buzzed again. Another message, another voice reaching out. She typed back, calm and certain. "The system is flawed, but we can make it work if we understand it. Keep records, stay safe. Tell the truth. They can ignore one voice, not 1,000. Outside, the light shifted. A breeze carried the scent of summer and asphalt. Maya Carter closed her notebook, finished her coffee, and stood. No fanfare, no applause, just quiet forward motion. Justice was no longer a distant idea. It was a habit, a discipline, a new kind of power.